Most people think power is built in public. They think it comes from status, titles, money, followers, applause, visible victories. They think the powerful rise because everyone can see them winning. Machiavelli understood something far darker and far more accurate. Real power is not built in what is shown. It is built in what is concealed. The strongest people in any room are often not the loudest, richest, or most celebrated. They are the ones carrying truths nobody can access. They move through life with locked doors behind their eyes. They understand that every confession costs something. Every unnecessary explanation weakens position. Every exposed vulnerability becomes material in someone else's hands. The average person lives as an open house. Their fears are visible, their desires obvious, their wounds readable, their intentions announced before action begins. Then they wonder why they are manipulated, delayed, betrayed, underestimated, or controlled. But the powerful learned another language entirely: silence, selective revelation, precision. They know that what people do not know about you becomes a territory they cannot invade. Tonight we enter that territory. These are 7 secrets the powerful never confess, not because they are evil, not because they are ashamed, because some truths lose value the moment they are spoken. And the final secret explains why many intelligent people study power their entire lives, yet never possess any of it. Secret 1. They never confess how uncertain they once were. Every beginner imagines powerful people were always composed, always clear, always fearless. But history is filled with leaders who began in confusion, fear, and hesitation. Julius Caesar doubted campaigns before conquering them. Napoleon suffered crushing insecurity about status and origin. Even the most commanding figures often began with trembling minds. But once they rose, they buried the memory publicly. Why? Because people judge you by the image they inherit, not the private struggle that created it. If you constantly remind the world how lost you were, many will keep seeing you as lost, long after you have changed. Power requires narrative control. This does not mean lying. It means refusing to chain your present identity to your weakest chapter. Too many people introduce themselves through old pain. They say, I used to be broken. I used to fail. I used to be ignored. I used to be weak. Then they unknowingly invite others to keep relating to the version they claim to have left behind. The powerful understand transformation must eventually become silent. You may learn from your past privately, but you do not need to kneel before it publicly forever. There comes a moment when growth requires burial, not denial. Burial. You plant the old self beneath the soil so the new self can stand above it. Secret 2. They never confess what truly motivates them. Listen carefully to people, and they often reveal their engines immediately. One wants approval, another wants revenge, another wants security, another wants admiration, another wants to prove an old critic wrong. Once someone knows what drives you, they can steer you. If praise moves you, they praise strategically. If rejection terrifies you, they threaten distance. If status seduces you, they dangle prestige. If loneliness weakens you, they offer belonging at a price. Motivation is leverage when exposed. Machiavelli understood that men are often conquered through desire more than force. The powerful may know exactly what they want, but they rarely hand others the steering wheel by naming it carelessly. They move toward goals while appearing calm, measured, even detached. They do not announce desperation. They do not advertise hunger. Hunger in the wrong hands becomes bait. This is why some people always seem to be chasing while others seem to attract. The chaser reveals need. The powerful reveal direction. Need begs. Direction moves. Learn the difference, and many doors open without begging to be opened. Secret 3. They never confess who they cannot forget. This sounds emotional, but it is strategic. There are names that live inside people long after relationships end. The mentor who humiliated them, the lover who left them, the rival who surpassed them, the parent who never approved. Many people speak these names constantly, thinking confession brings freedom. Sometimes it does, but often repeated confession keeps the wound politically alive. The person you cannot stop mentioning still occupies territory in your mind. Others notice this instantly. They learn what can distract you, destabilize you, manipulate you. Mention an old enemy enough, and someone will use that enemy's shadow against you. Mention an old heartbreak enough, and someone will recognize your emotional vacancy. The powerful grieve privately, learn privately, then close the gate. They do not let ghosts run current decisions. Silence can be the final funeral certain memories need. Not every pain deserves an audience. Some only deserve burial. Secret 4. They never confess the full extent of their patience. This secret has broken more negotiations than lack of intelligence ever has. Most people expose their timeline without noticing. They say, I need an answer soon. They say, I can't wait much longer. They say, I hope this happens by next month. The moment your urgency becomes visible, the balance changes. Time becomes a weapon in someone else's hand. They delay because delay now hurts you more than them. They stall because your pressure is visible. They wait because they know you blink first. The powerful conceal deadlines whenever possible. They let others feel the uncertainty of time while remaining unreadable themselves. This does not mean endless passivity. It means disciplined ambiguity. In business, relationships, politics, and conflict, the person whose urgency cannot be measured often controls the tempo. Look at old diplomats. Many won not through brilliance but through endurance. They could sit longer in discomfort than opponents could. Most people would rather lose terms than tolerate tension. The powerful know tension is often the price of favorable outcomes. They pay it willingly. Secret 5. They never confess how carefully they observe everyone. The average person wants to appear attentive by speaking. The powerful gather more by listening. They notice who interrupts, who flatters upward, who changes tone depending on status, who seeks credit, who becomes cold when ignored, who smiles with resentment hidden in the jaw, who laughs too hard at authority, who asks questions only to talk about themselves. None of this requires paranoia, it requires presence. But here is the crucial point. They rarely reveal what they have noticed. The moment people know you read behavior deeply, they begin performing. Signals become masked, natural tells disappear, the room becomes theater. So the observant powerful often appear relaxed, casual, even distracted. Meanwhile, they are collecting patterns. They know consistency reveals character better than speeches do. They know a person's treatment of powerless people predicts future betrayal more than any promise. They know repeated small behaviors outweigh dramatic declarations. And because they keep these observations private, they continue receiving unfiltered truth from those around them. Secret 6. They never confess the size of their next move. Weak people announce plans for identity. They speak of businesses before launch, discipline before routine, wealth before savings, reinvention before effort. Talking becomes a substitute for becoming. It creates applause without results. The powerful often reverse the order. They build first, reveal later, sometimes never. They understand that premature exposure invites 3 enemies: envy, sabotage, and self-satisfaction. Envy attacks because others resent progress before proof. Sabotage appears disguised as advice, distraction, mockery, delay, or concern. Self-satisfaction is the most dangerous of all because the brain mistakes talking for progress. You feel accomplished before doing difficult work. Many dreams die in the comfort of being announced. Results need less narration than fantasies do. Watch people who truly rise. Their growth often appears sudden only because you are not invited to the construction phase. The overnight success is usually a hidden decade. Power loves shadows during formation. Secret 7, and this is the deepest one, they never confess that they are playing a different game than everyone else. Most people live reactively. They seek comfort, approval, distraction, routine, short-term relief. They call this life. The powerful may smile in the same rooms, attend the same meetings, exchange the same pleasantries, but internally, they operate from another map. They think in incentives, patterns, consequences, timing, reputation, leverage, emotional control, positioning. They understand that every environment has visible rules and invisible rules. The visible rules are what people say matters. The invisible rules are what actually determines outcomes. Yet they never announce this perspective loudly, because once you advertise strategic thinking, others become guarded around you. They suspect motive in everything. They hide information. They resist naturally. The person who constantly says, I understand psychology, rarely does. The person who truly understands it rarely needs to say so. This is why many students of power remain powerless. They perform awareness instead of using it quietly. They become known as schemers before they become effective. Reputation outruns competence and ruins access. The highest strategy often looks like simplicity. Now pause and look around your own life. Who knows too much about your fears? Who knows exactly what you want badly enough to manipulate you with it? Who has heard every future plan before you acted? Who knows your deadlines, your soft spots, your unresolved names, your need for approval, your impatience, your next move? How much territory have you given away casually in the name of openness? Society praises transparency because transparent people are easier to read, easier to predict, easier to manage. But transparency without wisdom is surrender. There is a difference between authenticity and exposure. Authenticity means alignment, exposure means leakage. Many confuse the two, and pay for it repeatedly. Machiavelli never argued that one must become cold or cruel. He argued that one must understand reality. Wolves exist whether sheep approve of wolves or not. Ambition exists whether polite people deny it or not. Manipulation exists whether you participate knowingly or unconsciously. The question is never whether power dynamics exist. The question is whether you remain blind to them. Blindness does not make you moral, it makes you vulnerable. Wisdom is seen clearly without becoming corrupted by what you see. So what should you do with these 7 secrets? First, audit your leaks. Notice where you over-explain, overshare, confess need, reveal urgency, seek validation through future talk, or narrate wounds that should be healing in private. Second, practice selective silence, not hostile silence, intelligent silence. Let some questions breathe unanswered. Let some plans mature unseen. Let some emotions process before display. Third, build substance where others build image. The world is crowded with people marketing empty rooms. Become the house with locked doors and real foundations. Fourth, study people gently. Observe without contempt. Understand without announcing. Fifth, become less easy to steer. The less others can predict your emotional buttons, the freer you become. There is an irony here most miss. The purpose of guarding secrets is not domination of others. It is sovereignty of self. When fewer people can pull your strings, rush your clock, invade your mind, or redirect your path, you become calmer, stronger, more deliberate, less dramatic, more effective. Silence then stops being a tactic and becomes peace. History remembers conquerors, kings, ministers, founders, generals, but beneath every public victory was a private architecture nobody saw. Hours unseen, thoughts unspoken, motives concealed, patience unadvertised, pain transmuted quietly into strength. The visible triumph was only the surface. The real power lived underground. And that is where yours must be built. So speak less of what you are becoming. Reveal less of what can be used. Move slower than your emotions demand. Wait longer than others can tolerate. Watch more than you announce. Build more than you broadcast. Let people meet the result before they ever hear the plan. Because the powerful are not dangerous for what they confess. They are dangerous for what they never need to say.